I didn't know a single decision could echo for the rest of my life until I watched my sister walk down the aisle toward a man who was never supposed to be hers. People whispered his name like a warning, Kang Min-jae. To the public, he was a successful Korean businessman. To those who knew better, he was a shadow with money, power, and blood on his hands. To me, he was the man who had once wanted me, slowly, deliberately, and when I said no, chose my sister instead. I remember sitting in the church that day, my hands folded too tightly in my lap, nails biting into skin. The air smelled like flowers and incense, heavy and sweet, like something trying to mask rot. My mother cried softly beside me, proud and afraid. My father stared straight ahead, his back rigid, as if refusing to acknowledge the truth would somehow change it. And Soo-yeon, my little sister, stood in white at the altar, her smile practiced, her eyes dull with something that looked too much like resignation. When Kang Min-jae took her hands, I felt it in my chest. Not jealousy, not anger, guilt. Because he was standing there because of me. I met Kang Min-jae 2 years earlier, on a night I should have gone straight home. It was raining hard, the kind of rain that soaked your clothes and your thoughts. I had just finished a long hospital shift, double overtime, understaffed, another patient lost. I ducked into a small cafe to wait it out, exhausted, invisible, still wearing scrubs under my coat. He was already there. He didn't stare, didn't flirt. He just noticed me. "You're shaking," he said calmly, pushing a cup of hot tea across the table toward me, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I should have walked away. Men like him didn't offer kindness without consequence. But I was tired of being strong. I wrapped my hands around the cup. "Thank you," I said. He nodded once. "You work too hard." I almost laughed. "You don't know me." He smiled faintly. "I know enough." I learned who he was later. Not from him, but from the way the cafe owner bowed too deeply, from the way men waited outside in the rain, alert and silent. Kang Min-jae never corrected me when I pretended he was just another businessman. He let me keep my illusion as long as I wanted. He never touched me without permission. Never raised his voice. Never tried to impress me. That restraint made him dangerous in a way I didn't understand yet. Over time, we talked. About books. About loneliness. About how power isolates you, and how kindness can be a weakness if you let it show too much. Once, over soju, he said, "I don't chase what doesn't want to be caught." I believed him. I believed a lot of things. The moment everything changed was small and quiet. One night, as he reached for his coat, I noticed a dark stain on his cuff. Blood. Not his. I asked him, calmly, carefully, "How many people have died because of you?" He didn't answer right away. He just looked at me, eyes steady. Then he said, "How many have lived because of me?" That was when I knew I could never stay. It wasn't fear that made me leave. It was love for my family, for the life I wanted, for the part of myself that still believed goodness should be simple. I told him I couldn't be part of his world. I told him I wanted a small life, a quiet one. I told him I loved him, but not enough to become collateral damage. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said softly, "If you leave, someone else will pay the price of your absence." I thought he meant emotionally. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, my sister called me crying. "He asked me to marry him," she whispered. The room spun. "Who?" "You know who." I drove to her apartment like I was running from a crime scene. She looked so small when she opened the door, shoulders hunched, eyes red. "He said it would protect us," she said. "Father's debts, mother's health, you." That was when I understood. This wasn't romance. It was substitution. I confronted Kang Min-jae that night, stormed into his office with rage, shaking my hands. "You promised you wouldn't chase what didn't want to be caught," I said. He looked tired, older. "I didn't," he replied. "I chose what stayed." "You're punishing me." "No," he said quietly. "I'm surviving you." I wanted to scream. Instead, I realized something terrible. I still mattered to him, just not enough to stop. The wedding felt like a funeral. When Soo-yeon kissed him, I had to look away. I didn't hate her. I hated myself for leaving, for loving, for believing my choices wouldn't hurt anyone else. At the reception, Kang Min-jae approached me alone. "You look thinner," he said. "You look married." For a second, something flickered in his eyes. Regret. Longing. Loss. "This was never meant to hurt you," he said. I laughed softly. "That's the worst part." Before he left, he said, "If anything happens to her, it will destroy me." That was when I understood. Marrying my sister hadn't erased his feelings for me. It had rearranged them into something colder. Soo-yeon's marriage wasn't violent. That was the cruelty of it. It was quiet. She lived in a house too large, guarded by men who never smiled. She learned when to speak and when to disappear. She smiled in public and cried in private. Once she asked me, "Do you think he loves me?" I told the truth. "I think he protects you." She nodded. That's what I thought. Years passed like that, until the night it all collapsed. A rival organization moved against Kang Min-jae, not with guns, but with secrets. My name surfaced. Old photos. Old rumors. It didn't matter what was true. Soo-yeon was taken. I went to Kang Min-jae and said, "This is my fault. Let me fix it." He looked at me the way he had the first night we met, like he was counting the cost and willing to pay it. "No," he said. "I already lost you once." He chose her. He ordered her released. And in doing so, he signed the beginning of his end. Soo-yeon left him 6 months later. Not dramatically. Just quietly. "I realized I was living someone else's consequence," she told me. Kang Min-jae disappeared from public life soon after. Some said prison. Some said death. Years later, I saw him again on a street in Seoul. Older. Alone. Ordinary. He bowed to me. "I chose wrong," he said. I replied, "You chose yourself." And for the first time, that truth didn't hurt. People ask me if I regret loving him. I don't. But I'm grateful I didn't become him. Because love should never cost a sister her life.